Saturday, 21st of May. I've had the bees now for nearly 2 weeks. 2 weeks tomorrow. Sorry, 2 weeks tomorrow. I've got the bees. First time I'm going to do an inspection. Just going to check how they're getting on. In particular, I want to see whether from the 5 initial frames they came on in the nuke, they've expanded onto the new frames that I put in for them. I decided not to put any old frames in from the old hive. I discarded them all, threw them away, just in case I didn't like the look of them, which means they're having to build foundation from scratch, and that obviously takes time. But they came with a bit of feed, which I've continued to oh, why is this so sticky today? I don't know why this is so sticky. Good, having a little bit of trouble getting this on. I think I want it to be inside of here. Okay, so let's take top off. The nuke supplied by the previous owner of the bees, the guy who initiated this hive, the nucleus, came with a slight amount of feed. That was full when it came, called Candy Pulling Gold. So it's a mixture of sugar syrup, beet sugar, glucose, pollen, glycerine, albumin, all stuff to help them build successful frames. I'll just put that there. They'll go back into the hive from here. And look in there. I'm going to take this top off. This is my feeder box that I made myself. Enough. I shall interestingly building bits of comb on the bottom of that. Just be careful therefore not to hurt those bees to flavour. Here we are, looking in. So the 5 frames that came with the nuke, all in the middle here, and the new frames which I put in for them to build on the outside. I just want to check that is going okay, the building. So I'll put a bit of smoke in. A little bit of smoke. Top here. Not too much. The front of the hive. I'm probably going to, well, I was thinking of taking the introducer off, but maybe not until the hive is full. So I might try this without gloves today. Even the bees seem reasonably quiet. The weather's not fantastic. If it hadn't been for the fact that I'm going on holiday next week, I might not have inspected them today, but I've decided, because we're going away, to have this inspection done today. Let's try not to rub any bees. Taking out this frame, and you can see, be really careful with this because this is still under construction. Completely brand new comb in a brand new frame that I produced. It's amazing to think they've produced that in just less than 2 weeks. I can see they've got cells full of, it looks like they're actually storing what's going to be honey on that side of it. Really must be careful because this is not filling the frame, it could drop out. Yes, this is being used for stores. They're not putting any young in. It's definitely just looks like honey. So there's nothing being built on the two frames beyond this one. I may take one of them out now, make a bit of space, given that there you can see, brand new frame there, still got nothing in it. So there's got quite a lot of work to do there. Put this one in here, and carefully. Have a quick look at one of the frames that came with the Nuke, just to make sure I can see that there are new bees being produced. It's very heavy, this. I imagine this is being used for... Right. Well, this has got brood and honey in it. Very full. See it? You can see it. I put the camera in a very different place this time, so you can see me and the frames. Ooh, I see a big bee that is clearly a drone. Drones are very different to worker bees. There's a few drones on here. They're like bigger, rounder, furrier bees than the worker bees. So there's a few drones on there being produced. That's male bees. Of course, male bees are necessary to keep fertilizing the queen. That's all they do. Male bees mate with queens for the purpose. But that is a nice full frame there. So I just want to check down here how they're getting on building the two new frames at this side. A nice quiet day, but the sun is not pronounced. So they have built between. I'm looking down at this one, and it looks like it's really bulging out. So I'm slightly concerned about that, because when they come to then build comb on the last one, which they haven't started with at the moment, they're going to find it, I think, difficult to fit it in. Seems like it's very, very bulging, this one. Now, with what happened to my queen before, I understand that I'm now trying to be really, really careful lifting out these frames. So that is even more pronounced in terms of having been built than the frame at the other side. So that was another empty frame, completely empty frame. That's been built up and filled almost completely with comb now. And it's got bees being really busy. It looks again like they're making stores rather than making brood. Having a bit more of a look here. These are very crowded on this. You can see how they're hanging on to each other in that little gap down the bottom, where they're obviously still at work producing comb. So they're still in the business of filling this comb out. It does seem a little thick at the top here. Oh, and they're starting on the last one. So they're also working on comb. They've got about a third of the comb built on the last one. I don't like the limited space between these frames for putting this one back in. It's very tight. So I might take the last one out as well before I put this one back in. So I'll just stop that there for a little while. I'll take this one out. I need to move this. It's probably, I don't like it to bother the bees too much, that smoke. So there, completely new construction taking place here. Very early construction of this last frame. Wonderful architects, the way they build with those frames. It's amazing to see it happen. I'm thinking of putting this one back in place of that one, so that this one's being built neater than the one at the end. I'm not sure. Or maybe I'll just move. I have a bit of indecisiveness creeps in. It's just this one's bulging, and the next one's bulging. Sensible to give them more to break them up. They do. Well, at least these particular bees seem to like to bridge across between one frame and the next. I've noticed they're making them stick together. So I'm going to break them apart to hope that might encourage them not to do it again, because obviously you can't lift them out individually if they're stuck to one another. So I'm trying to carefully make them. Yeah, they're all stuck to each other. They've bridged the gap, and they're stuck to each other. So just take this one out. Wow, there's lots of brood in here, lots of babies, new brood. This is a great frame to see. On this side you can see masses of drone brood. It sticks out a bit more, and yeah, the bees are moving quite slowly. Seem very calm. I'm not too bothered because I can see lots of evidence of the queen at work. I don't need to see her. I just need to make sure I do not hurt her. After what happened before. Do not hurt the queen. It is the most important thing. So I'm just going to try and move these along and up against each other to make sure I've got plenty of room to fit this other frame back in. Right, hopefully that's plenty of room now. And let's lift this up. And hopefully back in without bruising any of the bees that are in there. Really quite hard because it's very bulgy, this one. Very bulgy. Very bulgy. Listening for the bees. Sure. None of them are making a noise as I sort of touch them against each other. No, pushing them gently back up, very gently back up. can hear the hive. It makes a noise, gentle sort of buzzing, and if anything towards happens, they make a higher pitched noise. It's always quite obvious if they're not happy. They make a noise. It's like one sends a signal to the others. They all make a noise. So I'm taking a lot of care in putting these back up against each other. So frightened now of ever having any reoccurrence of hurting the queen. And hopefully now I can really slowly into this because the bees are bridging each other down here since just in the time that I've been working on this. Putting an empty frame between the one that's partly done and the one that is empty between the inside. No particular reason for that. They're all lifted back together now. Hives full. These moving very calm. Not sure why they're building on the bottom of here. I don't really want to encourage that, so I think I'm going to scrape it off. Right. So I've scraped the comb they built on the bottom of this. I've scraped that off. Put that back on now. And I'm not putting the feed back in. I'm done with feed now. I'm assuming weather's nice, there's plenty of food out and about in the real world for them. We don't need this artificial feed. This stopper on the top, the bees can't get into this, because if you allow access into this free space here, they literally build comb in there, and then you'd have a real mess. I have seen videos of bees in big open spaces trying to fill it with comb. It's not pretty. And well, come on, bee. No, you don't want to be in there. You do not want to be in there. Got one bee in the wrong place. The bee's precious, so yeah, want to stay in here. It does, it wants to stay in here. But I want it out. There you go. She's out. She comes. And so I think I might just leave the entrance reducer on the hive. I'll leave this little packet here, and you might as well just finish that off and take it into the hive. But no more feed for them. Maybe in another 2 weeks, given the pace they're working at the moment, I would expect this brood box to be full. I either build comb, complete the comb on all 10 frames, and then as soon as they've done that, as soon as the comb is on all 10 frames, I'm going to put the old super not the floor hive super. I'm going to put the super that was on the previous, with the previous set of bees, which has 9 frames of honey. Honey which I could have, I suppose, tried to manually extract and eat, but I haven't. I'm going to put it on here for the bees. They will clean up the frames, use that food store, and then when they've done that, unknown amount of time, I'll just have to keep testing and looking in on the bees. We will put the floor super on, and so I will always have a brood box, a half-size box super, and the floor frames will form the full hive later this year. For the moment, it all looks good, assuming I didn't do. Now I'm just going to be paranoid after every inspection that I've heard the queen. Assuming I haven't heard the queen, these bees will keep on working happily. When I go away for more than a week, when I come back, hopefully they will have progressed to starting to work on the final 2 empty frames, and we'll have a full frame. I think I will just leave it's not like they're crowded at the entrance. They seem to have plenty of space for getting in and out, even with this reduced entrance. There's a hunter, there's a bee just come back with. I wonder if that's a guard bee that's there with his tail up. It seems to be just there standing. The bees are cutting and crawling over it and going in and coming out. I've seen some with pollen, that's good. I think it is a guard bee. Got the tail sticking right up. Good. I'll have a quick look now. Finally, I don't think I cleaned up enough often last year. The box tray, which catches all the residue bees produce. So this is the first time I've looked at this. It's always got a bit of wet, I see, in part of it. It's always got a few crawling insects in this case ants. This is the residue that just gets produced by the hive. It tends to go a bit mouldy because it gets wet in the wet bit. So there's like green mold. Well, wherever it is going a bit mouldy. I look for varroa, which are a horrible insect that attaches to bees and is the scourge of British beekeepers these days. I can't see any varroa, which is good. Just ants, which seem to be helping themselves to some of the residue in here. So I shall go and wash this, clean it up, put that back in, and then the inspection will be complete for today. Hope that was interesting. So far, so good in 2022.